Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here, and in today's video, we're going to be testing quote-unquote dead content in RuneScape 3 to see if it makes decent money or not. Now, I like testing unique money makers. It's kind of fun, and most of the things we're going to be testing today are kind of very old, or they're considered now dead content, but what if they actually make really good money? Well, stay tuned to find out. Also, if you want to progress your account and get more RuneScape content like this, make sure to subscribe, as 70% of you actually aren't subscribed, and thank you all, by the way, for 30k subscribers. That is super amazing as a milestone to hit. We only need 70k more for that YouTube play button, am I right? Alright, let's get into this video. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoy this type of content, and let's look at the first method I'm gonna test. So the first method I wanted to test today was based on something that I kind of did recently, which was Amplings. So I recently made a video where I opened pirate Amplings, and these Amplings were selling for over 2 million GP each, and back in the day, Puro used to be a big spot to make money, and it used to also be an old school RuneScape. I'm pretty sure it still is, so I was curious if it was good money still with all the, you know, pirate Amplings selling for a lot. Wasn't sure about the other Amplings, but what I decided to try was this first. So Puro is a place where there's tons of Amplings roaming about, and you basically have to go through the wheat fields and traverse yourself and catch these Amplings. Now, this can be kind of annoying because the Amplings run all over, but the main Amplings you're looking for is, of course, some of the rare ones like the Kingly Amplings and the Dragon Amplings, but actually the pirate Amplings sell for the most at 2 million GP each, so that's definitely one we're going to be looking out for. And also something like the zombie Amplings are like 50 to 70k each, which was very surprising to me, as well as magpie Amplings and nature Amplings are decent too, and also ninja Amplings. So there's a lot of different ones you can catch. Notably though, you want the zombie Amplings because these are going for 50 to 70k. Now the reason they're going for so much is because there's a chance for the monkey skull, which is a rare 1 in 3,000 drop, which just allows players to make an ancient gorilla Gree, which lets you transform into a gorilla with a blue face. So yes, if you're like me, you've probably never heard of this before. It's kind of weird, it's not super useful, but I guess some people want it, so that's why the zombie Amplings go for a decent amount. You can also get like curved bones and long bones, so maybe people want those for the technically like super fast buyable construction XP, so that could also be another reason. But actually catching the Amplings is really straightforward. You go to Puro, you bring a butterfly net, you need your Ampling jars, and then you're basically going to want to buy runes to be able to use the bind spell. Now this spell is used to freeze the Amplings in place if you find a good one, because it makes it so much easier. It can get super annoying with these flying all over the place, and you know, it can get out of control pretty easily. You could be chasing after the same imp for quite a while if you don't use bind, so it really helps. I was actually finding and catching a lot of these Amplings way faster than I thought. The zombie Ampling, which the GE price was like 70k, they're spawning very commonly. So for this, I wanted to test how long it would take me to fill my inventory up with Amplings. I ended up actually getting kind of lucky. One of the first Amplings I found was a Kingly Ampling. Now it's not crazy or anything, these Amplings aren't that expensive. I would have much rather found a pirate Ampling because these only sell for like 100k or so, but they are very rare, so it was cool to see that. But all in all, I ended up being able to pretty much fill my inventory in about 15 minutes or so. Like I said, the zombie Amplings, I'm not sure if I was just getting lucky, but there were a ton. I ended up only hopping worlds like 3 or 4 times, and I caught quite a bit of zombie Amplings. They were by far the most that I caught. And then of course there were some, I caught a few magpies, a few nature Amplings, of course the Kingly Ampling. I think I caught a ninja Ampling. Sadly, I did not find any dragon Amplings or ninja Amplings, but I only did one inventory, so it didn't take me that long to do this at all. So I'm sure if you camp this for a while, you'll definitely see those Amplings. But it looks like from this, we ended up in about 15 minutes or so, just one inventory, making like 1.5 to 2 mil at least. That's what the price says. But if you see, when we actually go to sell these, the zombie Amplings sold for a lot less. The other Amplings actually sold for more than their GE price, which I was surprised with. But the zombie Amplings, I'm sure maybe you could slow sell them, but they sold for less. So in total, the Kingly Ampling also ended up selling for much less. So in total, we made about 1.8 1.4 mil or so in 15 minutes. So I believe you can probably easily make 4 to 5 mil an hour with this method, maybe a bit more if you get lucky or end up catching those pirate implings, because those pirate implings are, like I said, over 2 mil each, so you know, a big amount there. But this was actually a pretty interesting method and kind of fun. So if you're looking for, you know, a little bit something different, a little RNG based thing, maybe you could go give this a try for an hour or two. Next is something that is one of my favorite places in RuneScape. I don't know, the nostalgia is just big for me, and it's a place I tested in the past. So that is actually the Magic Training Arena. Now this place is pretty much dead. I don't think I've ever seen anybody there in years. If you go there, you're probably not going to see anybody, but it is for me one of the most nostalgic places in the game. Basically, you go here and you do some mini games related to Magic, and you earn these things called pizzazz points. Now these points can be used to buy things like wands, master wands, mage's book, and also specifically infinity items, but more specifically infinity boots. Now why would you want to buy infinity boots? Well, back in the day you would buy them because they were good and they look kind of cool. Fashionscape, am I right? But nowadays one of the main reasons for using infinity boots is because they are used for a master clue step. So most people are going to need a pair of these to put in their hidey hole, which means people are going to be buying them if they're cluing. So it is definitely the best thing to buy from the Mage Arena with your points, because you're going to get the most money per points. Now the Mage Arena has mini games such as the High Alchemy room, which you have to go and high alch a bunch of stuff to get points. It also has things like the enchantment room where you're going around and enchanting things, the bone graveyard, which you're casting bones to bananas and turning bones into food, and then everyone's favorite room, that's a joke, the Telekinesis maze room, which is definitely the longest room to get the points for. In here you have to basically guide a little guardian through a maze, and it definitely takes a lot of concentration and a lot of time because you can get a ton of different mazes. So this is usually what room people don't like, and a lot of people don't like the Mage Arena, but me, I don't know, I find it kind of nostalgic going there, and you know, earning a pair of boots is kind of fun. I wouldn't want to do it 10 times, but when I did do this, I had a decent time. It wasn't too bad, and the nostalgia, of course, was there for me. So when I got the infinity boots, it took me a total of 90 minutes to basically complete everything, and the boots, of course, sell for, you know, 16, 17, 18 mil. So in that time, I was making around 12 to 15 mil per hour, which is pretty good considering I hadn't done this in quite a while, and you can probably speed it up if you know, do some other methods, especially with the maze room. I was pretty slow with that, but this actually seemed much better than Puro Puro. Again, this is something that a lot of people probably dislike doing, which is probably why it makes actually decent money, which seems to be a theme with this stuff, that if something isn't done a lot, it's either not done a lot because it is bad money or because it's annoying, and if it's annoying, maybe it then makes better money because nobody is doing it. So yeah, this one was pretty surprising. Again, one of my favorite places, and you know, you get a little bit of XP and you can make some decent money with it. It's not something that I would go and farm, you know, 10 pairs of boots or anything, but doing it for a few hours to get a few pairs of boots and make like 30-40 mil doesn't sound too bad to me. Finally, something that I've been wanting to try for a while is a mini game that I used to play back in the day, and it's called Gnome Restaurant. Now Gnome Restaurant is done at the Grand Tree, and for this basically you go and you deliver food to gnomes around RuneScape, but you also have to make the food. So there's a lot of different gnome foods. There's gnome cooking bowls, gnome badas, gnome crunchies, gnome cocktails. There's so many. There's some funny ones like the toad bada, cheese and tomato bada. There's a lot of very weird foods, and you have to make these and deliver them to people around the game, and you get rewards. Now, notably, the only reward that is really worth talking about is called the Gnome Scarf. Now, the Gnome Scarf currently goes for almost 70 mil, and the main reason for that is, well, just like the Pirate's Hook, Fashionscape. It's gotten from a minigame that not a lot of people do, and people want it for their character for fashion. So the Gnome Scarf is what you'll basically be doing this minigame for. Now, you can actually get other things like the Grand Seed Pod. These pods are used to teleport to the Grand Tree. These go go for like 600k each. I don't actually think they sell for that much. They might, but they're a common drop, so you'll actually make a decent amount of money off these if they sell for you. Other than that, there's really not much on the drop table. I mean, you can get some things like blood runes, nature runes, uncut sapphires and emeralds, soul runes. These don't go for much, like 10 to 15k a delivery. You can get mint cakes, which if you guys remember back in the day, mint cakes are kind of an iconic item because they used to have kind of a large GE price. So back when there was no free trade and there were things called junk items, you actually would trade your mint cakes to be able to buy things or give people money. So they were a junk item that was obtained kind of easily, but their value was inflated, so people use them to bypass the trade limit essentially. Nowadays they're pretty much worthless. We also have the Gnome Goggles, which is kind of a rare thing like the Gnome Scarf, but they go for much less at around 1 mil, so you definitely want the Gnome Scarf instead. Now the Gnome Scarf is only dropped by 2 gnomes, so when you're doing this you kind of know if you have a chance at the scarf or not. It's dropped by the 2 captains, Captain Ninto and Captain Derico, which these guys are basically an Alcrid and at White Wolf Mountain, and it makes sense because they're the pilots, so they are the one with the scarf and the goggles, so it does make sense. But when you get a delivery, you're gonna know, hey, I have a chance to get the scarf here, or no, I don't have a chance. So it's kind of, you know, that makes it a little more boring for me, because if I don't get these guys, if I get the other gnomes, I know I'm really not gonna have a chance at anything good. But I decided to do this, and the smart thing to do if you're planning to do this for quite a while is to cook a bunch of the food yourself. You can't actually buy the pre-made ones. You can buy them on the GE, but nobody is selling them. But the pre-made ones that you buy at the little NPC shops, they don't actually work for this, so you have to either make it yourself or buy the real ones off the GE, which essentially they are never sold, so you can't really do that. So you got to make them yourself. So I would recommend stocking up on a bunch of each one. Just spend a little bit of time making a bunch of these, so then when you do the deliveries you can do them super fast and farm out a bunch of them. For the sake of this video, I didn't do that because I wasn't planning on doing this for hours and hours and hours. I just wanted to test it a little, so I was basically making these as I got the delivery. So I'd go, I'd get a delivery, I'd make what I needed, and then I'd deliver it. Now I actually ended up kind of getting lucky with the gnomes that I had to find, so I ended up getting a lot of the ones that could give you the scarf. I actually got them quite a few times. I'm not sure how rare they are, but for me, I got them quite a bit, so I'm assuming they're kind of on the rare side since there's so many gnomes. But yeah, I went to these guys, and sadly I did not get a gnome scarf from any of these, which I guess I wasn't really expecting one because I'm assuming they're quite rare. But I did do quite a few deliveries over the hour, but in reality I really didn't make much money at all. I didn't get any grand seed pods, so I basically made like no money. I guess you could say I made a few 100k, but the big thing, this is kind of like a boom or bust method, it seems, where you're basically going for that gnome scarf. You don't really care about anything else. You're farming this to try to get that gnome scarf, and you're gonna go until you get it, and that's where all your money is gonna come from. Now if it takes you 10 hours to get a gnome scarf, you're gonna make a good 6 to 8 mil an hour. If it takes you 5 hours, you're gonna make any more. So I'd say this method, probably accounting for all things, could probably make you 10 to 15 mil an hour if you do it pretty fast. If you pre-make all the food, I bet you can make a decent amount, because the gnome scarf, while rare, it's not like very rare or something. People do get it all the time, so it was kind of a fun method to do. Sadly no luck, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. So a different video, but a pretty fun one. I enjoy trying out these other older methods. They're kind of fun. They kind of bring me back nostalgia, but also, as we found out, some of them can actually make you a decent amount of money. So let me know if there's any other older or nostalgic method that still makes money that you've been doing, or if you've ever gotten a gnome scarf or something like that, or maybe a pirate hook from a pirate impling. Personally, I've never gotten a gnome scarf, but maybe it's something I'll try again in the future. Of course, leave a like to get this video out to more people. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.